All right, let's get started with our next deal analysis. This one is from Frank. There's no comment. We only have this link, so I'm not sure exactly what he was planning to do with this house. Is this a buy and hold or is this a burr? But let's just have a look at it and see what we find. So looks nice from the outside. You would definitely see some cosmetic damages, need some paint. Kitchen the same, pretty dated cabinets. Definitely some cosmetic upgrades needed. Okay, this kitchen looks pretty bad. If you even call it kitchen, don't see a stove. It's a water heater in the apartment. Tile throughout. Okay, this bathroom needs to be replaced. It's a complete bathroom remodel. To-do-do. Still don't see a stove. It looks nice. It's a garage. Okay. Don't know what kind of roofing material that is. It looks like just asphalt roll. I don't know how you call that. And some tarp. Just make no, that's not the house the tarp is behind. This is very nice. Okay. That also shows us, okay, that this is a very nice unit. You can come in, here's your foyer, living room, dining area, kitchen, bedroom, hall, bathroom. But what you can do is you can just put in another wall here in the dining area and create a second bedroom. So this would easily make a 2 bedroom, 1 bath apartment, which gives you definitely a little bit more cash flow. And then this is the other one that we saw, okay. Yeah, definitely not a very great unit. Walk in right into the kitchen, missing stove, needs a bathroom remodel. The water heater was in the dining area and living area. Here's all windows on this side, and then you have the bedroom in the bedroom in the back. Still not terrible. All right, let's see. Um, what do we think? So first things first, we need to decide which kind of calculator we want to use. I don't think that this would be sufficient of value add for the Burr method. I don't think the price is too high for it to get enough equity by just doing cosmetic repairs, cosmetic upgrades. So we are in the regular investment calculator purchase price. As I mentioned in the past, I am not a big fan of Zillow, so I'm going to Redfin and typing this address 5218 Warner Street. There it is. Alright, 2 bedrooms. So first we want to check flood. Minimals is what I look for, even though there is some flooding risk on the street, but the property is pretty far back. Looks like a decent sized property. Looks pretty nice. Right across the park. Honestly looks okay. Cemetery, I guess. Sorry. Cemetery and South Park. Okay. I think otherwise fire, minimal wind, air is probably a problem. Yeah, you're in the city. And street view, you can see we can't really see. There's too many bushes. There's barely anything to notice. Here's the garage. The garage is nice. I would definitely rent that separately. I mean, obviously offer it to your tenants, but if your tenants don't want it, you might as well rent this out separately. Okay, they're saying prime value add opportunity, multifamily zoned, which is good. Each side previously rented 1,200 a month. Okay, so should be a baseline, even though I think that's pretty steep. I mean, I'm not familiar. I'm on the East Coast, so I'm not familiar with the West Coast. Let's just check some things. So go to Rentometer, type in the address, 1 bed, 1 bath. Doesn't really matter. Uh, right. So average rent. I mean, I would definitely set this in the lower percentile for the lower one. So even after renovations, I wouldn't think you get more than 1,400 for that small unit. And then we can go back and see if it lets us do a second one. Let's just do a second one. That would be great. Awesome. All right. I think this is good. So 1,600. So our rental income, we have 1,600 plus 1,400, which brings us to the 3,000 that they are saying that it would bring after the rehab. For the garage, honestly, I would want another. Let's look at this garage. Let's look at this garage. It's very nice. And I bet it has windows. I bet it has power. Bet it has power too. So, and if even if not, it would be easy to get some power there. Um, yeah, I think you can. Okay, it's a detached. You can see that, so it's not connected to the house. Yeah, could be converted into a tiny home eventually, but for right now, that definitely, unless this is the plan. But again, if you submit a deal, if you put a comment in there, what's your plan or idea for the strategy? Oh, you can see it here. Perfect. Look at this. This is exactly what those guys did. They converted it into a little house. So if you go that route and they say that it's approved for 2 more units, it would be awesome. You add this and add a tiny home on this side. You can make this a 4 unit complex. I mean, that would be amazing. But again, that would involve significant, significant investment. I mean, just a conversion of this into something along those lines, I would say probably looking at $50,000. And then what are we looking at for in this unit? All right, so within the unit, we need some paint. Comes up, so let's assume that all those appliances work. We need some drywall to zone off the second bedroom. Here, definitely need some paint and a stove. Water heater looks pretty new. Paint, a complete remodel for the bathroom, which let's say gonna need either good cleaning or a new grout. All in all, you're gonna be at least spending $10,000, probably more like 15,000 to get this rent ready on both sides. I think this would probably be realistic to have 10, 15,000. 15,000 would be on the nicer side. Okay, so the question then is, how do we calculate this? I guess we just calculate two scenarios, right? So one is 2 units, rent per unit is 1,500, which is correct. One is 1,400, the other is 1,600. Interest rate is realistic. Let's assume that the down payment that he has is just 20%. All right, so let's go back. So pricing, where are we with history? So let's see. This was just sold. A little bit of equity in that. Just listed, so probably, at least for now, I doubt they will budge too much. Let's just call it. Let's just call it 340,000. So purchase price 340,000, 2 units. This is the down payment. Advanced options after repair value. Well, that actually is something. Let's call it 375. And for the rehab cost, we have the bathroom complete remodel, and then we have paint. That's just to get the 2 units rentable. I would say 15,000 should do the trick. Purchase cost 1% for the purchase price should be normal. Might be able to get a little bit of concessions, but not if we get $9,000 off the price. Going to property taxes. All right. So in this case, this was already recently sold. It's probably investment property. 285. So generally what you would want to do is you would want to find an investment property which sold over a year ago, so it has already been reappraised in that neighborhood, and then you take that property taxes and extrapolate the price. In this case, we can just use the zone property. So at 314 at 285, that's at the 340 price. That would leave us at $375 of investment property taxes per month. That times 12 is 4,500 a month, which is what we can use here. So 4,500. Insurance, this is no low flood insurance. So I would say 2,500 should be enough for duplex financing. Yes, vacancy rate 5% with good management shouldn't be a problem. 10% property management is the national standard unless you're going to hire more units. CapEx could be a little on the low side here. I mean, this definitely looks older, so I'm going to go up to 7% here. Repairs 5% should be okay. Again, would be helpful to know if he has a bigger portfolio. That way you can definitely run with those. Otherwise, you want to put in a little bit more cushion. Rent growth, inflation growth, and expected appreciation for the property is fine. So then we calculate, and now we look at this investment. So cash needed is 86,400. That is coming from the down payment, number one, the purchase cost for the loan, and then also the rehab cost, which is something that he will need in cash to get this. All right, and so per unit we're paying 170,000, and it gives us a gross monthly income of 3,000. That reminds me that we forgot one thing, namely the garage, right? So we still have this nice little garage here. I would rent this out separately for, let's say, $500 a month. So we're going to just say 1,750. So I'm going to split it up into 2 units. So we have the garage on there. So this is our new monthly income. Vacancy loss is the 5%. Operating expenses is the taxes, insurance, capex, and so on. Then the loan payment, that leaves us with a cash flow of about $200, $100 per unit, which I think is a pretty decent result. Looking at the cap rate, it's 7% for a small multifamily unit. This is a pretty good result. That just means that excluding the financing, so excluding the loan payment, the monthly profit from this investment, so just considering the monthly income, vacancy, and operating expenses, is 7% from your invested cash. So you can say this deal is returning you 7% on your invested cash. The cash on cash return, then again, considering the loan payment is 2.8%, which is okay for a first year deal, and a return on equity, because we create a little bit of equity when you do those repairs, is 3.4. IRR, this is just the IRR for year number one. That's normal. That just means if you would sell this house after 1 year or within the first year, you would lose 15%, which obviously it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you plan to flip this, and then you would really have to go here with high rehab costs, go 50,000, spend 100,000, make this a very nice duplex. You could probably sell it for 450, maybe even 500. But then again, that's a different kind of calculation what we're doing. And it was not mentioned, so I assume we're planning to hold. And then what you can do in this calculator, you see down here is the return on investment, so the net net profit from investment is 5,169. That's combination of the cash flow and the equity increase that you have. So in this case, first year there's not going to be any appreciation, but you're going to have the cumulative loan pay down, which is 2,763. It's the loan pay that you have in the first year, and then $2,400 cash flow, and then from there it goes on. So we go up in this calculator, and you can say, okay, let's just go to like year 5. Year 5, our cash flow is already looking pretty significantly better. So $366 a month that we're getting from these units. We're now at a cash on cash return that we invested 5%. IRR is 9% on this total investment. So I think this is a pretty decent deal. ROI, 70% after 5 years. Now, if we look at 30 years, obviously we're going to see about the 1,000% return on investment. And again, what this means is the net profit from this investment is, after it's all said and done, after 30 years of holding this, you're going to have cash flow of $327,000 over the period of 30 years. Now, at the same time, you paid off the loan, $272,000, so you don't owe anything on that house. Plus, the house appreciated $263,000. So your total like net profit from this investment, the equity appreciation, the loan pay down, and the cumulative cash flow is $862,000. That, of course, plus your initial investment of $86,000 would leave you then, if you sell it, with a total profit of for the house itself, 270, 260, 530 plus the 800, so around 600,000 for the house. And then you still had the cash flow that you could have used in the years before to live off. But yeah, overall, pretty solid investment here. I think this house makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Frank, if I hope this helped you analyze this deal and get a better understanding. Also looking at the cash flow here, so you can see in year 30, because the rents increase and the operating expenses also increase, you're looking at 30%. You're looking at a cash flow of $1,760 for this property. Now, keep in mind, after your 30-year mortgage, your loan payment will go away, so your cash flow goes up from $1,760 to more than $3,500 a month once that loan is paid off. One more thing that I would want to look at, and we see it very nicely what the neighbors did here. It seems like they had a very similar setup for their house, and then they turned this garage into a little tiny house. So if we were to do something like this here, and rent this out as a third unit, I would want to say, so to get this done, we probably need at least 50,000, probably more like 60,000 to get this done. So we're gonna do $75,000 in rehab cost. Nothing changes here. We can bring the insurance also back down, and then the rent would be the 1,500 because we lose the garage. So there's no more garage. So that means I would hope we would get on average 1,500 per unit. The smaller unit probably more like 1,400. The bigger unit hopefully 1,600. And then the tiny home, if it's nicely done, 1,500 should be doable. And then we click calculate and just look at this. So cash needed is obviously a lot higher because you have that initial investment to convert the garage. But your cash flow from the beginning is, sorry, we're still in year 30. Your cash flow, we forgot to update the units. There we go. So there, this looks better. So your cash flow from year 1 is going to be something like $9,041 per month that you're going to be making with this. If you are managed to get permits and convert this garage into a tiny home like the neighbors did and have 3 units to rent out, there's going to be significant upside that you can make here. $313 per unit, cap rate of almost 10%, cash on cash return of 7.72%, including the rehab costs that you have there, with a significant return on equity. So this could be a really good investment. IRR is still negative, obviously, because of the huge cash that you need. But then looking at the profit even faster, like let's go back to year 5 where we looked earlier, we already had 100,000 net profit from investment, mostly cash flow. You can see the cash flow is just extreme cash flow here. And then you can go to year 30 just to compare, and we see we're at 1.2 million. The cash flow alone of this would be $687,000 in cash flow. No change to the price. We still have the same loan. We still have the same property appreciation. None of those parameters have changed. We can assume that maybe the ARV would have changed a little bit. Oh, we're still calculating with the 340. We should have changed that to 375. Anyhow, but definitely very significant increase in the cash flow that's achievable here. If you would do that, you can see the total ROI on this investment is lower. That is because your initial cash investment is much higher. So unless you do a refinance and then pull some cash out with the Burr method, this is overall less profitability. But then looking at other perspectives like your cash on cash, your return on equity, those parameters look much better with the 3-unit scenario. So with that, I would like to thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. Frank and everyone else, feel free to comment if you have any questions. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and let us know if you have any recommendations for us. If you'd like to see any specific videos, we appreciate your feedback. Thank you.